It's a little cold outside, so I told the guys I was going to go in and do my podcast. So,
have you been to tailgating a little bit?
a little bit, yes.
Yeah, good.
We got here at 3.
Good, good. Game starts at 7:15, so that's about right time.
Yeah, we'll be. I'll be feeling warm going into the game and hoping for a Seahawks victory.
How the hell did you become a Seahawks fan?
When I was a kid, I was watching them one day play the Broncos, and I liked their logo, so I said, "Screw it, I'll like these guys." Steve Largent, my favorite player of all time.
Are you still an Oklahoma State fan too?
Always.
Oh my God.
Hey, when they come in second, because I don't think they can pull it off, you're going to say, "Man, I should have listened."
Well, I'm not going to ever listen, but I'll say, you know what, you're right. That's what.
I mean, they had a dominant victory over Virginia Tech, but then Penn State just absolutely rolled Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri's not very good though.
But still,
they got guys that are done. It's not a good situation.
Yeah, no, but they have one of the best the best recruiting classes in the country this last year. So they're going to be good. Yeah. Yeah.
Can those guys fill in for him right now?
Unfortunately, no. Seth Mendoza is still competing in his senior year, and I think there's a few others that are no Illinois kids. I don't think outside of Seth Mendoza. I know the 97-pounder is Aiden Sinclair. They'll be good. Missouri's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of the local tournament? Did you guys get to come to the Dvorak?
I did. I went to the semis.
How was it?
It was great. Yeah. Good wrestling.
I watched it on I didn't go. I watched it on the computer.
So the one Cassiope, Rocco Bruno, that's what I call him because I could never tell them apart. But now I'm starting to tell them apart because whoever the one that's hurt is Bruno. About my height now, and he weighs like 160 pounds. Yeah. He looks just like Tony.
So 2 things there, Marty. I laugh because that's what Walters refers to him as because you do. He goes, that's what Marty calls Rocco Bruno. So he goes, I can't tell them apart.
I can't either.
But then
they're pretty easy now.
I go, well, is he bulking up to fill in at a 57 spot since maybe a kid might be out?
No.
No, I mean, I talked to the Cassiopes both days. I got to catch up with them. They're in good spirits. What I was most surprised about is obviously Bruno, he looks huge. He's 170 pounds, he said the other day. Now he's going to start, trimming himself down to a decent weight, but he's focusing on his rehab. Rocco, I mean, a phenomenal tournament. I mean, he was he told me and his dad told me that he had some weight to lose in between the first and second day, which was very impressive. And just the way that he wrestled with and to win the 126-pound weight class the way they did, to beat Vasquez that way. It was pretty impressive, I thought.
Yeah, he had a good tournament. Real good tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, and go ahead.
We're missing out. You're totally wrong on everything. TJ Silva was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't think he went to the second period, the whole tournament.
Yeah, TJ's very, very good. He's very explosive. He gets kids wrestling in bad positions. That finals match, he just, got that kid to scramble, and then, boom, it's over with.
He puts them to their backs.
Yeah.
But
I love his intensity. Like he loves the limelight. Like he's into the competition, which is a very important thing.
I think for TJ, watching him, the bigger the stage, the better he performs.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Like you're saying, he likes that limelight. They're on me, they're watching me. I'm gonna put a show on.
Yeah. Which is interesting to me as a coach because a few years ago, maybe he didn't have it, but you start to get better and you start to build your confidence and stuff, you start to like mature and step into that. And he's
you can grow a beard. You're looking good with a beard. That's good.
Oh no.
What happened, Dalton?
We lost Dalton.
Yeah.
You gotta go to the bathroom?
Put him as a cartoon character. You puking again?
I'm here, guys.
Marty. Jesus. Oh man. Hey,
What is that now?
Hey, the Vasquez from Montini, is he not a returning state champ?
I don't think he's returning state champ, but
I thought he won it in 2A, but either way.
Yeah. So I was talking to the two twins when they came up and sat next to me for a while, and the one that won in the semis, I'm like, hey, what's that kid ranked that you just beat in the semis? He goes, he's ranked above me. I'm like, well, not anymore. Not anymore. He's not.
No. Yeah. He had a good. I mean, it's unfortunate the injuries that happen, right?
It is. It's terrible. It's terrible. But it's part of the sport.
I was gonna say it's part of the sport and it's part of the season. And
yeah, like Brad Lynn's our junior year, he didn't wrestle the entire year until regionals. He had some sort of kidney problem that he was up at Mayo Clinic forever and everything. And it was, but yeah, he wrestled 171 and he weighed 150. I think he had 2 days of practice before regionals.
Yeah.
But what do you do? It is what it is.
No.
Make sure they're healthy, right? Make sure they're healthy and doesn't keep activating.
That's why at the end of the season you try to tone it down a little bit, get guys healthy, ready to go. But it's a tough sport, right?
It is. It's brutal.
I mean,
it's awesome.
It's not always the best guy that wins at the end of the year. It could be the healthiest guy. I mean, you even look at the NCAAs.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys, banged up.
Or just look at some of those dudes after the Cliff Keen out in Las Vegas. Their faces look like they just been hit. I mean, they were just brutalized. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talk about Cliff Keen. I mean, Dylan Ragenson, season's over.
Right. Yeah.
And that's tough. But what can you do?
Right. Yeah. They'll give him an 8th year, 9th year, whatever it is.
Yeah, it didn't sound like he was going to be able to get his year back.
So I was talking to Walters about that the other day. He just sent me a tweet or something that he copied where it talked about him getting another year. And I said, well, according to Flo, it didn't sound like he was getting another year. So
how would he not get another year?
I don't know.
It's everything. I mean, and the heavyweight from Minnesota is like in his 9th year, maybe 10th. I don't like to use names.
Yeah, but he took a couple of years off to do other things, so he probably wasn't cool. I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's hope. I'm hoping that he gets in there.
You mean the future NCAA runner-up?
You must have bumped your head when you were out there tailgating.
Yeah. Well, at least he's going to be on the winning team tonight. I don't think the Bears are going to get you guys a win. So
I don't know. I think the Bears are going to win.
I think so too. I love the Seahawks. They're just really good.
Yeah.
They're
well,
like
guys, Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana football. 11 wins, but who'd they really beat?
Hey, by the way, how wrong was I? I didn't, that first week I thought Notre Dame was no way going to be a top 10 team, and wow, they just pulled it together. Walters is going to be mad at me, huh?
Well, they played Indiana.
Yeah, but they lost to Northern, and then they basically won out, so that was pretty impressive.
Yes, they did. Not basically, they did.
They did. They won 10 or 11 in a row. I mean, so we'll see. They play Georgia, and they'll probably prove us all wrong and win the national title, and then I'll just know that NIU could have been national champs this year.
I think Ohio State's beating Oregon this weekend or next week.
Well, if they play like they did against Tennessee, yes.
Right.
I mean, that's the Ohio State team everyone expected to see this year, and
right.
for some reason, no one did. But I'll say this: if Oregon can play any kind of defense, because I don't think they have played much defense all year, they're tough to beat. I mean, their offense is so explosive. So,
yeah. Well, guys, we're going to bring on our coach, our guest tonight. We're bringing on Tony Nelson from Richmond Burton to talk about the season and see how things are going on his end. So we'll bring him on.
I saw what that was.
a little water. Gotta hydrate.
Nice cool water.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Tony, what's up? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and like I said, you're from Richmond Burton, head coach at Richmond Burton. I've watched your team wrestle. That you guys were at the Rockford East, and you guys did well. What was the finish? Did you guys get there?
We finished third there, so pretty good showing. I think we left a little bit on the table. I know we had a couple kids out. We've had a couple kids out all year, but we're doing well. We plugging in a couple weights, and those guys are doing fine too.
Yeah, a few guys in the finals, and then you guys had your tournament last weekend or the weekend before that, right?
Yep, that was not this past weekend, but the one before that. That was a really good showing. That was we kind of ran away with everything, but I think our guys kind of rose to the occasion. They were pumped to be in our home gym. That was the first time some of those guys got to wrestle in our home gym, and especially in a tournament setting. But last weekend we had a big weekend too, so we're gonna keep rolling again tomorrow.
Yeah, where was that tournament? We were going over the results the other day, and where were you guys at last week?
We were at the Russ Herb last week. That's Glenbrook South. Great tournament. It's been around for a long time. I know I used to wrestle in that when I was in school, and we started going to that a couple years ago. We were in the Harbor tournament prior to that, and we were just kind of looking for something different, change it up, a little bit better competition, and it's a good tournament to get into.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how long have you been coaching at Richmond Burton, and where are you originally from there?
No, I'm originally from Fox Lake. Wrestled at Grand High School. We had some really good teams, great coaches back in the day. Moved to Richmond in 2014. I was coaching at Lakes High School for 6-7 years at the time, with my former coach, John Welter. And then when we moved to Richmond in 2014, opportunity came up. I want to say it was 2016, 2017 is when I started, when I became the head coach at Richmond Burton. So.
Yeah. Cool. This year you guys have, I just started doing some rankings and, looking through the state lineup or, the state weight classes and stuff. And you have a few guys that we've put in the top 10 that are, significant players this year. Obviously, I think both of your sons, your youngest son, Leland, is at 106, correct?
Yeah. That's my little guy, Leland. He's just doing a heck of a job. He's really jumped levels in the last, I'd say 6 months, to be honest.
Yeah. And your oldest son, Emmett, he's a senior this year, correct?
Emmett's a senior. Yeah. He's off to a little bit of a slower start than normal. We had to keep him off the mat for 2 weeks with 2 different incidences. He's all good now, and he's hungry to get that 5th and 6th and 7th minute cardio going that he's known for. So everyone's firing in all cylinders right now. So I'm looking forward to this kind of push through the middle of the season right now.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your middleweights. I know you just tell us about your lineup. I know you got a ton of guys outside of that.
Should I just start at 106?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So at the bottom, we got Leland Nelson at 106. You know what? I can pull up everyone's records if that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
I don't know how in-depth you wanted to get here, but Leland is he's currently 16-1. Hasn't really been in many tight matches, maybe 3 matches that have been competitive. He's kind of been running guys down, but I like what I'm seeing out of him because he's always had the tools. He's a physical freak. The kid's ridiculously strong. But there was always something, I think it was a little bit more belief on his end that was lacking sometimes. Well, he's got that now, and he's shown it at both our tournament, the Du Bois, and then this last weekend at the Russ Herb. He was down, at the Du Bois, he gave up the first 2 takedowns. So he was down 6-1 going into the second period. And then he outscored the guy like 10-2 in the next 2 periods. And those 2 points were given to him. And then this weekend, again, he gives up the first takedown. Not ideal, but it was awesome to see him come back and finish strong against the kid that beat him last year in the state tournament. So he was pretty pumped about that. And that kid's solid. I think that kid's a little bit under the radar too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we really like what we see out of Leland. He's a total workhorse, and he's getting better every week, like literally. 13, I have Christian Gersh. Christian Gersh is a senior. He is a 2-time sectional qualifier for us, so he's been in that lineup before. He's just now getting, I think, to his ideal weight, to be honest. He's always been kind of stuck behind someone, and either like 2 years ago, he was wrestling 120 pounds in the sectional, and he weighed like 103, and last year he ended up getting really sick right before regionals. And we didn't even know, honestly, if he was going to wrestle that morning. We were just, and he was supposed to be at 106. He was at 106 all year. And we're just like, you know what, man, just show up. And we got a spot open at 13. It just so happens. And if you're a pound over or whatever, don't even worry about it, man. We just want you healthy and competing, trying to help the team out in the regional. And he did that at 113. I think he weighed in at like 108.7. He was less than a pound over what he had to be. But it was just with his health, we were just like, get him on the mat. And he ended up making the finals and being a sectional qualifier again. So this year at 113, where he belongs at his natural weight class, I think he'll do all right. I think he's 10-6 right now, but he's placed in the last 2 tournaments. He did miss out on the Russ Herb, but he's back this week too. So at 120, I have Adam Glauser. We call him Jace. His brother Jaden coaches with us. He's a phenomenal coach. He's a great guy. His knowledge and wrestling positions is far beyond his years and age. And Jace honestly reminds me of a little version of what Jaden is. He's super explosive. He was the IKWF state champ. Unfortunately, he had a couple things in the finals of his first 2 tournaments where he didn't get to finish the match. But this weekend, he ended up with 3rd at the Russ Herb. He lost the match to Shamray from Buffalo Grove, but then later beat him for 3rd. And, I think him as a freshman, that down, what we'll call it a down performance, the first one he lost, I think, that's going to be something that you're going to be seeing less and less out of him. It was more than one moment, that first match. He kind of shook it off. And what I saw of him on the backside and that against that same kid was just, it's encouraging. He's going to come along just fine. And I was telling guys earlier in the year, I'm like, he's a podium threat. He might be a little under the radar being a freshman, and he didn't, perform per se to his potential. His first 2 tournaments, having to pull him out of both matches in the finals, but he's the real deal. He's darn good. So that brings me to 126. 126, I got Clay Medulla. Clay Medulla is one of the leaders on our team. He wrestles year round. He doesn't compete as much as some of the other kids year round, but he's training year round. And on top of that, he's doing cattle shows and all his farm work and everything else. He's just an awesome kid, total workhorse. He was a state qualifier as a freshman. And then his sophomore year, he actually did not make it out of the regional. I don't remember if he had illness or an injury, but it was bad. Last year, he fell short. I think he lost in the blood round in sectionals, but he's right in the mix this year. I expect him to be a state qualifier. And when you get downstate out of our sectional, I think, being on the podium is not far-fetched at all either. So we'll see what comes of him. I just know it's not going to be lack of effort with anything with that kid. He's ready to go. He's up in the room right now wrestling, to be honest, with a couple of the other kids. 32. So 32 is, I usually have Kyan Gunderson. He's a tough kid. He had victories over Eckberg, over North Boone last year in the regionals and finals. And then he went on to place in state, and in the sectional tournament, Kyan beat, I think, 2 of the qualifiers in that tournament, and then did not qualify himself during the tournament. Just didn't put it all together. And now this year he's been out all year. but we're looking for a return possibly as soon as next week. I'm excited for that. But we've had Liam Pauly, a freshman, filling in for him, and he's been doing a heck of a job. He actually put together some wins and some dual meets, and you know, any points that you can save or put on the board in a dual meet, you're doing your job as a freshman. And then 38, I haven't been putting anyone out there at 138. We have Dane Sorensen. He's a 2-time sectional qualifier for us as well. He's a senior, and he's kind of in the same situation as Kyan. He suffered a preseason injury. He had surgery, but we're keeping the door open for Dane. Hopefully we get him back in a couple of weeks. We're just, we don't want to put him out there too fast and, risk anything. We're just looking to make that push because he's a senior as well. 44 is Emmett. Emmett's been, kind of the face of the program the last few years, 2-time finalist, 3-time medalist. And, last year he had some things that were out of his control at the end of the season. Sometimes things like that happen, but he's never going to stop working for what he wants. He wrestles literally every day. He suffered what I call a bad loss last week. He actually majored the kid the week before, 11-2, and then goes out and loses them against him the next week. And no excuses. That kid wrestled a fantastic match. He managed space. He managed the clock. He did well. He did a darn good job. And Emmett just, maybe took some out of character risks and some other things that happened. But, the next day, how he responded like a champ, he went and got 2 workouts the next day. And he's he's up in the room right now working out. So he's a great guy to have in the room, just kind of to take the lead and have everyone kind of follow his role because he lives it. He lives it.
Yeah.
Yep. And at 150, I have senior Dalton Youngs.
Good name.
Dalton Youngs. He's been in and out of the lineup since he's been here. So he's making the most of his opportunity right now. He did get on the podium for us at our own tournament with the 5th place finish. I think he beat 2 kids that beat him earlier in the year. So, that's awesome. So Dalton, I think he's around 500 right now, but, he's crafty. He's a veteran. He's been in that room a lot. So I'm looking forward to having a strong finish. I got 157 is Max Martin. Max Martin is a freshman, another Richmond Wrestling Club kid. He's took, I think, 3rd to state last year in 8th grade. Hard hand fighter, tough, gritty. He did not place at Rockford East or our tournament, but he is in these matches. He's not a kid that if he's losing, he's going to go out there and give up 6. You know what I mean? He's going to fight and scrap and save points where he can get them, and he's going to get them where he can get them too. So, and a freshman at 157 pounds, that's, it's asking a lot, but he's the type of kid that we can ask that out of, and he responds. So he's got a bright future. You'll know that name later on. At 65, we have Dylan Pulaska. Dylan last year was at 175, ends up being a sectional qualifier for us. He has slimmed down. He had a little injury that he recovered from over the summer. He didn't get as much wrestling in as he would like to, but he's making up for it now, putting in a lot of work. And he's another kid that's just getting better every week. He hasn't seen the mat. He did play football, but before that, he didn't see the mat since his last match at sectionals last year, recovering from a surgery. So he's coming on strong. He's doing well. 75 is a really great surprise for us with Blake Libdahl. I've known Blake before he came here, but his family moved to Spring Grove over the summer, and the transition, both in football and wrestling, it's just been pretty seamless. It's like he's been here the whole time. He fits the mold. He gets along well with his teammates, and even though he's a sophomore, he's one of the leaders in the practice room. He's quiet, but he's in there meaning business. He's trying to get better every single day. And that's what we ask out of all our kids. You know what I mean? Not everyone's going to be that vocal leader. And honestly, we really don't have any vocal leaders. We have kids that put their heads down and they go to work. And Blake is one of those kids. Made the finals at Rockford East, won the Du Bois, and then made the finals again last week. Lost to, tough kid from Antioch. Forgive me. I should know his name. I know him. Oh my gosh. Anyway, tough kid from Antioch, beat him 7-2 in the finals, and he's looking to get another championship this weekend. 190 And Blake also was an IWCOA fresh soft state champion last year. So you always got the pedigree, right?
Yeah.
190, I have Brecken Campbell. Brecken is a sophomore, and this kid, I have a lot of hope that this kid is going to live out to this potential that I see in him. He's very new to wrestling. I think he started in 7th grade. Only did the junior high season, so probably had like 15 matches, maybe. You know what I mean? Didn't know anything. Next year, only does the junior high season again. He's in 8th grade, ends up winning state due to just sheer athleticism. He is about 6'3", I would say, 190 pounds, long arms, long legs, super lean. He's a sophomore. He placed at Rockford East. He ended up winning our tournament the next week. And then last week he placed, is he 4th? I think he placed 4th last week as well. So this is a kid that's new, but he just adds to his game. I love the way he wrestles. He attacks the legs like relentlessly. You don't see it a lot at 190 pounds. And, I don't think the lack of experience is necessarily a bad thing, because he's coming in here and just absorbing all these things. And he's able to wrestle in positions that most 190 pounders really aren't able to wrestle in, at his age, at least. So we'll see what comes of it. But I expect good things from Brecken Campbell. And then 215, I have Shane Falaska. Shane's another big part of that freshman class. Shane is a 2-time IASA state champ. I think he's a 2-time IKWF state place winner. And this kid has just impressed me more and more every week. He just adds more and more. And him in the room with these other guys around his size that can push him, it's showing. Week 1, he goes out there with his first varsity match as a loss. It's a kid from Prairie Ridge. It never really had a physical athletic kid like that at 215 attacking his legs the way this kid did. But he made adjustments to beat him the next week. And then he ended up taking 2nd in the Du Bois after 3rd at Rockford East, and then in 3rd again this week. So he's awesome. He's awesome. Great kid, good in a lot of positions, and only a freshman at 215. He's going to be just fine. And then heavyweight is Colin Kraus. He's a senior. Colin lost in the blood round of the sectional tournament last year. He's a veteran. Started wrestling with us as a freshman. He's about 6'4", 250 pounds, huge frame. He will attack legs. He'll hit cradles, stuff like that. And he's just the nicest kid that you could ever meet as well. We love that kid on the team. He's always reliable. He's going to pull out big matches when we need him to, and he's going to save points where we need him to well. And, we're looking to get him downstate this year too. So hope that wasn't too long, but I like to talk about all my guys, and that's all of them, man. That's my lineup right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, we want to hear about the lineup, but it sounds like you have a full lineup outside of one weight class that you have somebody kind of coming into.
Yeah.
How big is the roster that you get out for the team?
So to me, I kind of like being underneath the radar. And I like my guys kind of like that too, but I always had a lot of pride in trying to do a lot with a little. I think we have 24 boys in our roster. I've never had this many boys in my roster, yet we've continued to build, quality teams, competitive teams. The last 3 years we've been pretty good, and we've been under the radar good. I think we were tied heading into the final round at our regional with Marion last year, and they won state. I mean, we've been, a pretty solid team. And we're doing it with guys that have just kind of bought into everything that we've done. And we're doing it with guys that have started with the youth club and worked their way up. And I think that has helped out a lot, because they know me, I know them, and we just mesh well. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't think well, I mean, I guess I'm trying to follow a lot of wrestling, but you guys aren't under the radar. In my perspective, you guys got a lot of great individuals that have a lot of potential with putting it together as a team as a dual meet. You guys, I would imagine you guys have a good dual meet team.
Yeah. We're 7-0 right now. Last year I think we were 18-5. The year before that we were like 23-4. So I mean, we've put together some good dual meet teams. Guys not being selfish. We had guys cut weight. We've had guys wrestle up just to fill these spots and get the wins where we can get them. So yeah, we're off to a great start this year.
Yeah. Marty, you got any thoughts or questions?
No, I mean, when I first started coaching at Hononegah High School, we used to come to the Richmond Burton tournament back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, it's been around for that long,
It's
Marty?
been around. I actually had to do some research. Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. What research did you find? What's
So, someone asked me, was this the first year that you guys won the Tom Dubois? And I was like, I don't think so. The tournament's been around for a long time, but it was changed. The name changed to Tom Dubois, and I think that was 2011 when I went and looked back at it. And Tom Dubois was our old principal, phenomenal guy. He still comes to our tournament, huge wrestling supporter. And to honor him, they changed the name of the Richmond tournament to the Tom Dubois.
Yeah, what was it before?
I think it was just called the Richmond Burton Varsity Invite.
It
Something
probably
like that,
was when we came
something
in.
simple.
They used to have Jimmy. That's how I met Jimmy Powell, Dalton.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was
Why is that?
He was head coach at Auburn High School. They were
Okay.
wrestling in the tournament, but the weather was really bad, and Rockford schools wouldn't let him come to the tournament. So him and his wife, Shar, loaded everybody up in their cars and brought them to the tournament. And that's like, someday if you want to be an assistant coach with me, you're more than welcome and this is a coach that coached with me forever at Hononegah. So, yeah.
Wow. So he showed his commitment, and
He showed his commitment, yeah. But yeah, we probably wrestled it in for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was at the old school.
What? Yeah.
At the old school, yeah.
You could
Now our new school is basically one big gym with a few classrooms. So
I think you could.
it's a great place to host a tournament.
Yeah, it was good. It was awesome.
Tony, so what's up next for you guys? I know obviously I don't think you guys are not going to Abe's Rumble.
We don't do Abe's Rumble. We wrestle tomorrow at the Berman Holiday Classic, the Palatine tournament. So that's a good tournament as well. So I guess, I like wrestling these bigger schools. I like wrestling these bigger teams. There's like this stigma that, the classifications, the 3A is always better than the 2A and the 2A is always better than the 1A. I don't believe that. I wrestled in the big schools when I was in high school, and there's good wrestlers everywhere, right? And I enjoy putting our guys against these bigger schools. Maybe to them, it's like a mental hurdle, right, that they got to get over. So I think it does instill confidence when we can be the little guys and go and knock off these bigger schools. Plus, proximity-wise, where we're at, I mean, we're not really in the heat of 1A country, right? I think of that more a little further west, like, the Rockford area and the greater, the Rockford area, and even the western towards Iowa and stuff.
West and south of it is really.
Yeah, that's like the stronghold, right? And we're like, right on the border of Lake County. So it just makes sense for us to go to some of these Lake County events and bigger school events. So we do hit the Pitt tournament this year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll be the first horse.
Yeah. And the Pitt is like January 10th, I want to say, right?
Yeah, 10th and 11th. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
my calendar circled.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to go down on the Saturday and get the finals and stuff. So that tournament's obviously one of the premier 1A tournaments, especially leading into that regional and sectional, a lot of the same teams. Yeah, it should be that should be really interesting. A lot of state matchups will happen that weekend.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that one to test ourselves against, some of the best in 1A too.
So
where's your
regional?
A lot of opportunities.
Where's your regional at this year?
Our regional is in Marengo this year.
Okay.
So it's more centrally located than it has been in the past.
Catholic?
Pardon me?
Do you have Woodstock Marian Catholic with you in the regional?
Yeah, I believe we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the everybody leads into the sectional, but it's like the Stillman Valley area regional, and then it was Johnsburg last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's those regionals that lead into that sectional. That sectional, we've looked over the rankings, and there are multiple weight classes where there are more than 4 really good wrestlers in the state. So
I think it's always, since we became 1A, I love the sectional, honestly. It's tough, right? But it's so passionate. Like the crowd is knowledgeable. I love the atmosphere. It can't be beat, and that's coming from a good 2A sectional that we used to be in. This sectional is the real deal, and it's not just rankings. Like it shows, right? These same guys getting out of that sectionals are the guys getting on the podium downstate and winning state championships. So
yeah. Yeah, and a lot of the fans that the single A crowds are known for are
They're
at
the
that.
best, man.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
They never should have switched classes. They never should have went to 3 classes though.
yeah,
Here's what I like though. If you're gonna do the 3 classes, I like that 40% of them are in 1A to make it more competitive. I think they got that
I
part right.
agree with that. But
I think they got that part right.
yeah.
so elaborate on that 40% part.
Yeah,
So-
because 40, 30, 30 is the
okay.
split. Yeah.
I got you. So there are more teams in single A as opposed to 2 and 3A, but not
Correct.
not 7% difference, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's the trouble. Like what I've noticed lately, obviously, like your schedule, whether the Rockford East tournament, 1 and 2, a lot of the 1 and 2A teams that are there, really good event, a lot of good matchups. Again, Marty, I got to see Muhammad Seymour. Their 75-pounder lost to Dan Casillas' son, his freshman son. Marty?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It was, and then so it's a really good match. I like, again, I still think 2 and 1A. If you put them together, that's even. I mean, we looked through the brackets this morning for 2A, and from 150 down, it is tough. So I guess you could argue. I mean, I don't know. I like the idea of that everybody in one group, but the classes are nice to kind of like spread out competition for the state tournament. But yeah, I don't really know how to have an opinion on it because it doesn't really matter.
Well, it doesn't matter. But you know what I've noticed since it went to 3 classes, there's not as many people at Sibley Hall.
Well, they do the sessions different now too, so it's not all the same fans at the same time.
It's not fan friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
It isn't. I agree 100%. They should. Well, first of all, it shouldn't be there because they can't get 8 mats in there or 9 mats. They should have 8 mats, and that way you could have multiple sessions with all the teams wrestling.
Yeah.
If you get a place that they should be, you know where it should be? It should be at the Now in
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah.
The Now Arena. That would be a good spot.
Yeah.
Well,
that means you got to go to Chicago though.
Yeah.
What?
That means you have to go to Chicago though. That's just a whole nother experience with buses and everything else.
Yeah.
Well, the Now Arena,
Well,
the Now Arena, the Now Arena's in Barrington. That's where the Midlands.
Oh, okay.
That'd be a great venue.
Well, that's actually nice and close. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You guys would be great.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Marty? It's going to be interesting this year at the state tournament. Not only do they have they have the complication of not enough floor space for the mats, but the new out of bounds rule is going to make it impossible there. And like from the matches that I've seen this year, how much that rule, I mean, for me, it's added more excitement because people have to keep wrestling when traditionally the it's easier to just stop the match, stop action, so on and so forth. But at the state tournament, it's kind of going to be hard for them to keep action moving.
It is very much.
So I'm interested how they if they try to solve that problem. We'll see how it goes. But how do you like that as a coach, the new out of bounds rule?
Love it. Love it. They definitely nailed that. Yeah, that just simplifies everything up for the officials, the wrestlers, the coaches, and more action too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it just teaches kids to keep wrestling as opposed to assume that you can just go out of bounds. It just keeps everything moving. And I think it's a no-brainer. What about the takedown and the back points? How do you like
the takedown? I'm liking what I see out of it. Sometimes I think the near fall is a little much. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that adds up really quick. You know what I mean? And in a tournament, it doesn't bother me that much. You know what I mean? Let's get the best guy through. You're not dragging on when there's that level of difference in skill, right? Like attacks are happening faster. In the dual meet setting, sometimes I get anxious. You know what I mean? Like 1, 2, 3, 4 happens really quick sometimes, and that can work in your favor and work against you. And in the dual meet setting, sometimes, you have guys out there that are just trying to do their job. And maybe, they're not in all your varsity tournaments, but when it comes time for a dual meet, you're going to put them out there and it could be a mismatch that happens really quick, but
yeah,
we'll see. It's still new. So maybe I'll love it. But I think right now, it's a little bit much.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be hard. It's a hard adjustment for a kid that doesn't understand back points to be like, no, you cannot go to your back.
Oh, yeah. It's even more urgent to be better on bottom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they'll throw in riding time here in a couple of years too.
Yeah, well, I think the changes that they made in riding time at the college level have been really helpful too. You don't see as much of the ride just to ride, in the blatant ride as much as you used to. So
yeah, I wonder. I don't know how easy that one will be to implement though, if they ever did riding time.
I don't see it happening at the high school level.
Yeah, if anything, I think they'll try to take it away at the college level before they try to add it somewhere.
Yeah, I don't hate that either, to be truthful.
Yeah, it's a tough. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough argument because obviously the idea is cool because the guy's dominating on top, he gets an extra point. But you don't get any other points for controlling the center. That would be a cool point. Like, hey, this guy's been in the center the longest or whatever. So, yeah, some rules are kind of just arbitrary rules. The takedown I like because of the fact that that is supposed to be the most rewarded position.
Yeah.
If you get a reversal, it shouldn't be the same as a takedown because you just got taken down. So I like that there's a separation in the hierarchy of the points now, as opposed to it wasn't before. So, and we were just talking about this with the back points, dude. A takedown, a throw, everything changed. And Marty, do you remember was it Steve Zannoni's match? I brought this up the other day. You remember Steve Zannoni in the state finals?
Yep.
And how he was winning the match pretty convincingly, and the guy threw him to his back, and he lost the match. Yeah. But that was only 5 points. Like now you could be, I mean, things could change really quickly. And a lot of these kids that are wrestling in the off season, they're doing Greco and freestyle. They're exposed to big moves. So, yeah, things can change quick. Like I said, at the Rockford East tournament, Caden Morris and the kid from Wisconsin, it was like a 1 point match. And then all of a sudden it was a 12-point match. And I was like, what just happened? So
yeah, you can go from a tied match going into the second period and escape and a 7-point move. And now you got a major decision. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but all is well. I think it's been a good season so far. Anything that you have specific that was on top of mind of the season so far?
No. I like where we're at right now. We're not peaking yet. We're training through everything that we have. Like I said, we got guys getting another workout in right now. We're probably gonna do 2 a days for most of the break. Just getting better, and we like to focus on just getting better. I don't like putting a lot of pressure on these guys with expectations, and it's worked out in our favor. We're just heading into these tournaments looking to score points, and guys are wrestling well and scoring points, and we're coming out with good results because of it. So
yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing the rest of the season. I know you guys got some good guys on your team that are looking to make a statement this year. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And yeah, we'll see you. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks, Dalton.
Yep, we'll see you.
All right, bye-bye.
All righty, Marty. Yeah, so we just got to learn a little bit about Richmond Burton program. I've been learning a lot this season, obviously bouncing around some stuff. They definitely have a good team this year, tournament team, dual meet team, a couple individuals that are capable. One obviously has been in the state finals a couple times, and a couple others that are highly ranked. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see. So glad we got to catch up with him. Outside of that, Marty, you got anything to add or talk about?
No, we got the Midlands coming up and the Soldier Salutes coming up, and
yeah, the Midlands. I'm hopeful that there will be some. I guess I don't know. McNames was telling me it's no longer an open tournament, so it's an invite only. Oh no, not McNames. Sorry, I was talking to Steve Marinetti, and he was telling me that they're not allowing any D3 kids in there.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they're changing the format, and yeah, Steve and I had a lengthy conversation about that because it was like they're already losing a lot of their attractiveness because Iowa's got the Soldier Salute,
right?
And having that as an opportunity for, walk on, or not just walk-ons, but Division III smaller school programs to come in.
All those Chicago Division III schools should be wrestling at it.
Yeah, but they're not. They're not invited. So I'm interested to see what the brackets look like and what the turnout is, because I don't know what their motivations are as far as like the tournament planning and stuff like that. So.
But I'm telling you, that venue would be a great place for the Illinois high school tournament. It'd be awesome.
No, I agree, and I've been considering some of the logistics around that facility and what type of event you could put on. But again, there's a lot of politics and money that will keep that away, and I'm interested to see how they adapt to the rule with the space. Right. IHSA at the State Farm Center, they do not have enough floor space, and the mats, they don't have enough mat space. So if you're on the edges of the mats, you will know that the basketball floor you can see without the mats. So it's like they don't even have big enough.
Plus, they have the little curtains that go around everything. They're gonna have to take those away.
Yeah, they're going to be an interesting spot to see how they adapt to it. I don't have high hopes for their ability to adapt that tournament to meet the criteria. I think the refs will just call things out of bounds and take away some of the potential wrestling. But
I mean, I love it there. I mean, I love that the state tournament, Illinois. They just have no floor space anymore, especially since they redid it. I mean, it's just like it just doesn't feasible. Yeah, they need to fit 8 mats in there
if they're going to run the tournament the same way that they have
used to.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean saying the way that they run it now with more people in the tournament, makes it hard to do that.
And it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be, and we shall see, because that's where it's at every year for years. But I'm excited about college season picking up after the first of the year. I think that's when the Big Ten season starts.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff. I was at Wisconsin in a couple weeks, I want to say.
Yep.
I'm
going up.
You're gonna go up?
Oh, hell yeah!
All right, cool. I'm gonna try to make sure that happens as well. So, it should be good. All right, Marty, did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, I had a great Christmas. How about you?
Yeah, it was great. It was, no complaints.
I just didn't realize I had to work on Thursday after Christmas. I'm like, we'll be working on some of that, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of thinking about working, I am working on some plans to get up to Hononegah versus, whether it's Hononegah versus East or Hononegah versus Marion Central in the dual meet. I want to.
When's the Marion Central one?
I think East is on the 22nd, and I think Marion Central is on the 25th. It's 2 days away. They're like back to back. So
in January, correct?
Yes, it's in January. So
I hope I'm well, you never. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be around.
I hope you're in town, because it will be a fun event. So
it would be. It'd be awesome, especially Woodstock Marion. It'd be fun, right?
Yeah. There, even if we were talking about the duel, like some of the matchups don't necessarily work out perfectly. Like where they're good. Where Hononegah is good, they're good. They don't necessarily match up. But I just thought in general it's a great display of local wrestlers, and it would be fun to.
They're probably the number 1 ranked team in 1A, aren't they?
We'll see. That I think they're we haven't dove into individual rankings. I think Vandalia has a really good.
They do, because they wrestle. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so this weekend the Abe's Rumble is happening down in Springfield, and we'll find out who the number 1 single A team is.
Yeah, why don't you start putting out some rankings?
I have some individual rankings up. So we have 1A. Yeah, okay. I'll send them to you when we get off the air. But we have 1A and 2A done as far as rankings, and we're going to get to 3A next week after the Flavin.
Because the other place that you can look at the rankings, you got to pay like $10 a month to do it. It was working out great, and all of a sudden I'm like,
Yeah. We actually, I recently, and I'll send you this too, because maybe you haven't been scrolling on the old internet, but we created a ranking show because, what I wanted to do is find the people that I know that are really in the know with all the teams and all the individuals, and we just started diving into the track profiles. Who's this kid lost to? Who's this kid beat? Who's number
Who do you
one?
got doing that? Who are you doing it with?
I'm doing it with a guy named Mark Stewart, Buddy Staver, and Jim Mastey.
That's awesome.
And I'm bringing in anybody else too. There's a couple others that I have coming in, but basically the more the merrier. We're doing like a regional.
Right.
We're doing like a regional seating meeting for each weight class. Basically, people put up, hey, I think this guy should be the number one guy. We pulled up their ranking, their results, and find out if they have any head-to-head matchups. What they did last year. So it's kind of cool to go along with the ranking show instead of just looking at the rankings and be like, how did they come to that?
Right.
Now we have a show where you go, no, this is how we came to this list. If you have any information, people are telling. Our first one, we didn't do our best as far as information. People started reaching out to us, hey, this person beat this person, so you make adjustments and stuff like that. But it's a much more regular thing. So we're working on the team rankings, but the team rankings are a little harder to do because, they're just harder to do because some of these duels aren't happening all the time. And like this weekend, you'll know just who the best 1A team is. And then next weekend, you'll probably have a really clear idea as to who the top 3A team is. Speaking of, is Hononegah going to the Flavin?
No,
they're at Whitewater, aren't they?
Yeah, this weekend they're at, and then they're going to the Clash.
Yeah, and that's tough because, obviously the Flavin isn't the state tournament, but it is like a state tournament.
Oh, it's totally like it. When we kind of started that whole thing together, we used to wrestle 2 dual meets on Friday night and then an entire tournament on Saturday. And then they just switched it to dual meets, which is great.
Yeah.
And invite the best teams.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's kind of tough. Like, do you commit to that mid-season knowing that your lineup's not fully set? So,
it's part of life, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks, you know what? Here's the thing that drives me nuts. Everybody talks about, so-and-so in my lineup. Like, that's life. You just got to have the ability to stick other people in your lineup that can wrestle.
You have to adapt.
You do. That's the thing. I keep hearing some of these coaches just saying, so-and-so and so-and-so. I'm like, you know what? That's life, man. That's part of the whole sport. Have a guy behind him that's halfway decent.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it forces people to recognize that, you got to put the backups in position.
Right. You got to put them in positions. You got to put them. You got to make them wrestle against some varsity matches.
Either that, or you have to get your kids matches on the weekends that they're not traveling to the varsity matches. So
they should need to wrestle 5 times on a weekend.
Yeah, and I don't think some of these coaches are actively giving their JV a schedule to get better.
Right. I agree.
So that's one thing that's I think obviously we can give them credit as far as like it is complicated, but in order to make that varsity lineup better, you got to make your JV better. And in order to make your JV better, you have to give them a schedule that is conducive to growth and development throughout the season. So,
and the sad thing is, like in our conference right now, you don't have full JVs. We used to have a freshman lineup, a JV lineup, and a varsity lineup. There was 2 mats every conference duel. And it's kind of dissolved. And I get it, but
well, I think I'm hoping. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I definitely think there is a potential to continue to turn this, the trend around and get more kids out and get a bigger, lower level team. So, I'm hopeful in the next couple of years that things kind of turn around and actually get like to the point where, wow, there's JV kids. There's a JV schedule and it is full of JV kids. And so the varsity lineups are always full lineups because if somebody's injured or they miss weight, there's another one right behind them. So,
right.
I'm optimistic. So
it can happen. It did happen.
Yep. We're doing it. So, all right, Marty, good chatting with you. We'll talk soon.